That means the two winners are the... Let's take a look at the state of my rapidly growing watch collection, and we're going to check in on my timekeeping experiment that we started at the beginning of 2024, which I may or may not have accidentally ruined, so stick around to the end. Since our last collection update, I've acquired 6 new watches, made several modifications to existing watches, and got some interesting updates to share with you guys. I've also sorted everything based on an order that makes sense to me now, but I will have to update this in the future. So, I'm quite pleased with how things are organised right now. I've done it based on colour, model, and brand, etc. But the one limiting factor was this watch box right here. And frankly, the cushions in this thing are so large that I kind of had to organise everything based around what can even fit on these oversized cushions. A lot of the watches, take my Duro for example, with a metal clasp simply do not have the girth to buckle around these hefty cushions. So, we're going to kick things off by taking a look at a few of the watches that I've modified since our last collection update. And of course, if you would like to get your hands on any of the parts we used for these mods, or any of the watches themselves, I'll be leaving a list for you in the description below of the best prices I could find. The first watch we modified since last time is the SKME 1628. Now this thing has got basically no standard parts left on it, but the latest addition is this handsome black bull bar from J's & K's. This is designed for a 5600 series G-Shock, and this is the very one which actually ruined one of my G-Shocks before. So this is the metal faceplate of my titanium G-Shock kit, and as you might notice, see the corners here, and I've kind of gone over it with Sharpie to hide it, but there's really some dents on here. So guys, I would not recommend ever putting a metal bull bar on a metal G-Shock. Save it for one with resin. Next up, it's my A700W, one of my favourite slim Casio watches. Now you might be able to tell there is no longer a little Casio logo on the clasp there, and that's because we had to remove the original strap just here after I bent and broke it in a game of beach volleyball. Now, one thing I will say about this new strap is that it is not quite as good. What I've actually noticed, see how it's holding itself up there? It shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of catching on the edge there, and what that's also done is it's also kind of starting to wear away at the resin there. So, you know, it does come at a cost, but at least it's working. The next mod we did was on my Casio A500W in this beautiful gold. And we actually replaced the strap on this one because the original stock strap that it came with is very prone to pinching your arm hairs with this pattern here. And it really upset me that they had a silver side to the buckle here when the whole watch is gold. So thankfully, this replacement strap is all gold and is extremely comfy, as inspired by my favourite metal bracelet. Our final bracelet modification was for the Casio Royale, and we got rid of the standard resin straps to apply this awesome metal black bracelet, which as you can see is adorned with the SKME logo. That's because I got my hands on the SKME clone version of the Royale just to get my hands on this awesome bracelet. Now I will say it was a massive pain in the ass trying to install this thing. It's got this weird pin removal system that you've really got to force it, but you know, we got there in the end. And actually I did record the experience. I just haven't got around to editing it as a short, but make sure you are a subscriber so you don't miss it when that one goes live. But other than that, guys, most of my mods I have been doing as part of the review video. Like I'll kind of review the watch like I did with this and modify it in one video. So let me know if you like that format. But other than that, I've kind of just been applying screen protectors in sort of shorts. So I did so for the SKME. What else did I do? I did one for I think the A500W. I've kind of been going crazy and I've got a lot of different screen protectors. I'm going to keep applying these to all of my watches, guys. Cannot recommend them enough, especially if it's got an easily scratched resin screen. Bubble says to ram that like button. Don't you, Bubble? Here's a treat. Next, let's quickly recap the 6 watches that have joined my collection since the last update, starting with the LF20W. And this one we added this awesome blue gradient lens filter, the silver adapters, and a matching NATO strap. I'm really happy with this one. Next up was the SKME 1988, and this is an awesome value watch by SKME, but just don't pull too hard on the bezel or it might just pop off. Next up is this Baby G, which we got as a present for my wife, and it features this cool tide graph at the top of the display. As a square, it's also a little bit smaller than a standard G-Shock square. Next up is the SKME 1412 with an insanely good backlight, which you should definitely check out in the short video where we converted this watch into the ultimate sleep watch with this matching blue comfy elastic strap. And the next addition was this beautiful gold Casio A500W, which we talked about replacing the strap earlier. And the last addition to the collection is the Casio WS1700H, an extremely capable watch. Now, it does have an issue with dual time, as we covered in depth in this short video here. However, it's still one of my new favourite watches to wear, based on how I have been customizing it with this NATO strap adapter here. It really is super easy to swap into any of my different coloured 22mm NATO straps, depending on what I'm wearing on that day. And look at that, a completely different looking watch. I also had one noteworthy degradation of a watch in my collection. It's the DW6900 SP. Now, the original bezel and strap for this watch was transparent clear, but I did upgrade that to be a transparent blue in the short video here. Now, as you can see, the bezel almost has gone back to being fully clear again, but there is still some blue color left in the straps here. And what that proves is that UV light definitely causes transparent jelly straps to lose their color. Smash that like button, because now it's time to go through the results of the timekeeping experiment that we started at the very beginning of the year. But before we do, there's a couple of watches that I need to exclude because of mistakes I made that make them ineligible for this experiment. The first watch I must exclude is unfortunately this SKME 1628, and although I take full responsibility for this fumble, I do feel that if SKME had copied the Casio button layout, this would not have happened. Here's a normal Casio, and as you can see, if I press the bottom right button, it just swaps between 12 and 24-hour mode. No big deal. But if you accidentally do so on a SKME, check it out. We've entered adjustment mode, and I did that by mistake, kind of panicked, pressed this button, and it reset the time. So the timekeeping experiment is now invalid for this watch. The second watch we have to exclude from the experiment, I am truly devastated about. It is my favorite, the Mr. G. And what actually happened with this one, guys, is quite simply poor battery management. That's right, I didn't wear this thing in the sun enough and sadly let it run out of juice. So what that means is I had to leave this thing charging by the window for a few days, and of course when it got its power back, not only did it no longer line up with the experiment, but it received the time from my phone, making this watch no longer eligible. I also found out the hard way that when I restored power to the watch, I had lost all of my saved weekly reminders for events and also all of my alarms. So if you have a solar watch, keep it charged and don't let it run out like I did. I almost made a third mistake that would have made my Casio Duro no longer part of this experiment. I noticed that the date window was not accurate, so I went to pop out the crown and adjust it, only to realise that doing so may cause the second hand to stop. So I decided against it, and thankfully this thing is still part of the experiment. Now, as a reminder, we initiated this experiment in my top 3 watches for 2024, which we posted on the 4th of January, so it's been more than 2 months since then. Let's take a look at some of these results. Now, I've decided that I'm going to use the Mr. G as a point of reference because I've just synced this to my phone, seeing it was ineligible anyway. So this is the perfectly accurate time. And as I arrange my various watches around the Mr. G, you'll know that the closer it is to this watch, the better it's kept its time. So let's make a start. So So here are our results. I've arranged them in ascending order of timekeeping from top to bottom. And remember, the Mr. G is our point of reference with perfectly accurate time. So the closer to this watch, the better. That means the two winners are the time distortion here, which is basically within the same second, and the GBD 200 here, maybe just almost a second behind. Really impressive for these two watches. Our worst performing watches at each end of the scale was the Casio Duro, which was almost off by a full minute, as you can see, followed by the complete other end of the scale, the Casio LF20W, which was a full minute ahead. So let me know, guys, did these results surprise you, or did you expect that these watches would perform in this way? A special thanks to Atakan, who's joined the GOAT crew on Patreon to financially support the channel. You absolute legend. Guys, your viewership really is more than enough to keep me going, and I really appreciate you watching this far. But if you would like to take your support to the next level and enjoy some awesome benefits, be sure to check out our Patreon page here. Thank you for your continued support. Here's some more great content for you to watch next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.